In a quiet New York street, a young girl struggles in her broken wheelchair until a humble mechanic steps in to change everything. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from. Now, let's get started and see how one small act changed a life forever. In a quiet neighborhood in New York, 22-year-old mechanic Jake was closing his small garage late at night when he noticed a young girl, 12-year-old Lily, struggling in her broken wheelchair under the dim streetlight. The wheel had completely malfunctioned, leaving her stranded and embarrassed. Jake's heart went out to her immediately. He grabbed his small toolkit and approached gently, asking, "Can I help you?" Lily hesitated at first, shying away, unsure of strangers, but the sincerity in his eyes convinced her to trust him. This small decision would spark a chain of events no one could have predicted. Jake carefully examined the wheelchair, inspecting the broken wheel and misaligned parts. He spoke softly to Lily to calm her nerves. "Don't worry, we'll fix this. You'll be moving again in no time," he said, his tone full of patience. Lily, still nervous, whispered about her frustration. "I always feel so helpless. No one notices me." Jake nodded, encouraging her. Sometimes a little help can make the world feel lighter. As he worked, Lily watched closely, slowly feeling hope where there had only been frustration before. At a short distance, Lily's mother, Samantha, 35, female, stood quietly by her luxury car, observing the scene nervously. She had always relied on strangers to help Lily, careful not to reveal her family's wealth. She knew her daughter's independence was fragile, and she feared that wealth often made people overlook Lily's struggles. But watching Jake's patient and genuine approach, Samantha felt a rare sense of relief. Unlike others, he treated Lily like any other child in need, not like a rich girl needing charity. His humble kindness gave her hope that Lily was in safe hands. Jake worked methodically, repairing the wheelchair with the tools he had on hand. He adjusted the wheel axle, tested the brakes, and made sure the chair rolled smoothly. He even checked the seat and slightly corrected its cushion so Lily could sit comfortably. All the while, he spoke in a calm, friendly tone, chatting with Lily to ease her anxiety. She began to relax, watching him work. Her initial embarrassment melted as she realized she was being treated as a person first, not a problem. A tiny smile appeared, signaling the first glimmer of hope she had felt in weeks. The night was quiet, almost lonely, but the small act of kindness radiated warmth. Jake's words and gestures comforted Lily in a way she hadn't experienced before. "People like you. You're like a miracle," Lily whispered softly. Jake chuckled, humbly. "Miracles come in many forms. Sometimes all it takes is a willing heart and a little patience." In that moment, the distance between a struggling girl and a compassionate mechanic disappeared. Both of them felt the weight of the night lift slightly, replaced by a bond forged in empathy and understanding. Samantha, watching from afar, felt a mix of relief and awe. She realized that no amount of wealth could replace genuine care. Jake's selfless actions had touched her heart. She silently promised to appreciate his efforts, knowing that Lily had found a rare kind of human connection that night. For Samantha, this encounter reassured her that Lily's struggles were being met with authentic concern, not superficial attention or pity. The tiny garage, the dim streetlight, and the broken wheelchair became the setting for an unexpected moment of trust and hope. Finally, the wheelchair was repaired. Lily cautiously tested it, rolling forward with ease. A wide smile spread across her face, and tears of joy welled up in her eyes. Jake encouraged her softly. "See, a little effort, and anything is possible." Lily finally felt the freedom she had been missing for so long. Samantha, quietly observing, smiled with pride and relief. The simple act of kindness had transformed the night into a memory of hope, trust, and human connection that they would all cherish forever. That night's events, while ordinary for Jake, were extraordinary for Lily and Samantha. A small act of empathy and skill had created ripples far beyond the broken wheelchair. It reminded them that true kindness comes from the heart, not wealth or status. Jake's dedication had given Lily independence, Samantha reassurance, and the entire family a new perspective on humanity. This moment, under the dim glow of the streetlight, was more than just a repair. It was the beginning of a journey toward hope, trust, and life-changing opportunities that none of them would ever forget. By morning, the first rays of sunlight poured over the quiet New York neighborhood, illuminating the streets and casting a warm glow over Jake's small garage. Lily, now sitting confidently in her repaired wheelchair, pushed herself slowly along the smooth pavement, marveling at how effortless it felt compared to the struggle of the previous night. The sense of independence she had longed for rushed back, filling her heart with joy. She turned to Jake with bright eyes, rushing forward to hug him tightly. "Thank you so much. I've never felt this free," she exclaimed, her excitement bubbling over. Jake smiled, brushing off her gratitude humbly. "It was nothing, just a little work and patience. You're the brave one here." He began gathering his tools to leave, expecting the encounter to end just like any other small act of kindness. But as he straightened up, he noticed a sleek luxury car pulling up slowly nearby. Out stepped a tall woman, poised, confident, and elegant. Her presence was striking, yet calm. Samantha, 35, Lily's mother, approached with a composed smile. Yet there was a softness in her eyes that reflected pride and gratitude. Jake froze for a moment, unsure how to react. The realization hit him slowly. This wasn't just any family. Samantha introduced herself formally, revealing her identity as the owner of a multi-million-dollar company headquartered in Manhattan. She explained that she had been watching from a distance the previous night, curious about the young mechanic's approach. Jake's heart raced as he struggled to process the information. The family he had helped with a simple act of care belonged to one of the wealthiest and most influential households in the city. He felt a mixture of shock, disbelief, and humility. Samantha's gaze was warm as she continued, praising Jake for his selfless behavior. "Many people assume our wealth means everything is easy for Lily, but very few notice her struggles," she said gently. "You treated her as a person first, without judgment or expectation. That is rare, and that is why I wanted to meet you. Personally?" Jake felt a wave of relief and pride, but also the humbling weight of the situation. He had acted out of kindness, not ambition, yet the recognition from someone so prominent was unexpected. The moment emphasized the power of genuine care, no matter one's social or financial status. Lily, still beaming from the joy of her new mobility, glanced between her mother and Jake, sensing the gravity of the situation. She whispered softly, "Mom, he really helped me, and he didn't even know who we were." Samantha nodded, squeezing her daughter's hand. She turned to Jake and said, "I want to ensure that your effort is recognized, and that you know your kindness has made a difference far beyond a single evening. You reminded my daughter what hope feels like, and that is priceless." Jake, though humble, felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. The morning air carried a quiet hum of city life as neighbors began their routines, and some curious about the unusual interaction in their street. Samantha spoke further, explaining that wealth often brings invisibility rather than privilege in human connections. People might see the car, the mansion, or the clothes, but rarely the struggles of those who live within them. Jake, a young mechanic from a small neighborhood, had transcended all those barriers with his sincerity. Samantha's acknowledgement highlighted that sometimes the simplest acts have the most profound impacts, uniting lives across vastly different worlds. As their conversation continued, Samantha extended an unexpected offer. She explained that her company ran a charitable foundation aimed at helping children with disabilities and families facing challenges. She wanted Jake to consider joining as a consultant or collaborator, using his skills to bring similar hope to others. Jake felt a whirlwind of emotions, astonishment, nervousness, and deep gratitude. This opportunity, born from one night's genuine care, had the potential to transform his career and life. Yet he remained grounded, knowing that his motivations had always been about helping, not recognition. Lily, feeling proud and inspired, wheeled herself closer to Jake and Samantha, holding their hands together. She whispered, "He's my hero, Mom. And now maybe he can help even more kids like me." Samantha smiled warmly, touched by her daughter's insight. The interaction had shifted the dynamics entirely. Jake's act of kindness had not only restored Lily's independence, but had also created a bridge between worlds that normally might never intersect. The event became more than a repair, it was a life-changing encounter for all three of them. By the end of the morning, Jake walked away with a new sense of purpose. He reflected on the night's events, realizing that small, sincere actions could ripple far beyond their immediate impact. Lily continued to explore her newfound mobility with confidence, and Samantha stood by, proud of her daughter's resilience and thankful for the unexpected hero who had crossed their path. The story spread quietly through the neighborhood, and soon enough word reached wider circles, highlighting that empathy, skill, and courage could create miracles that money alone could never buy. By morning, the city buzzed quietly with its usual rhythm, yet in a small New York neighborhood, something extraordinary had already begun. Jake, the 22-year-old mechanic, walked through the streets with a sense of purpose he had never felt before. Just the night prior, he had helped 12-year-old Lily repair her broken wheelchair, unaware that her mother, Samantha, 35, the owner of a multi-million-dollar company, had been watching. That small act of care had already changed so much, yet the day held even more significance. Samantha approached Jake with a composed, warm smile, ready to propose an opportunity that could alter the trajectory of his life. Samantha began explaining the charitable foundation her family ran, designed to support children with disabilities across New York City and beyond. "Jake," she said, "your skill and your heart are exactly what we need to reach more kids like Lily. Would you consider collaborating with us?" Jake paused, overwhelmed by the offer. He had only intended to help a child in need, not expecting recognition or reward. Yet here was an opportunity not only to expand his craft, but also to make a tangible difference in countless lives. Humility and gratitude filled his heart. Lily, still perched confidently in her newly repaired wheelchair, watched the conversation with excitement. She had never imagined that a small problem, a broken chair, would lead to such a monumental moment. Her eyes sparkled as she turned toward Jake and whispered, "You're my hero. And now maybe other kids can have heroes like you too." Samantha nodded, pride shining in her eyes. The little girl's courage, combined with Jake's compassion, had created a ripple effect that would touch countless families. It was a vivid reminder that even small gestures could have profound consequences. Jake carefully considered Samantha's proposal. He realized that while money had never motivated him, the chance to help children like Lily in a structured and impactful way was a dream he hadn't known he had. "I'd be honored," he said quietly, his voice carrying humility. Samantha smiled, appreciating his sincerity. She could tell that Jake's heart was genuine, that his motivation came from compassion rather than ambition. In that moment, both mother and daughter realized they had discovered someone rare, a person whose skill was matched by a selfless spirit. As the day progressed, word began to spread quietly. Neighbors and passers-by who had witnessed the previous night's interaction marveled at the scene. Social media soon picked up the story, showcasing how a young mechanic had transformed the life of a child from a wealthy family without seeking any reward. People across New York and beyond began sharing the story, inspired by the genuine human kindness displayed. Jake's act became a symbol, a reminder that wealth and status were irrelevant when true empathy and skill intersected. Samantha and Lily spent hours with Jake discussing ideas for the Foundation's programs. They explored ways to use simple engineering solutions to enhance mobility devices for children with disabilities, improve accessibility in schools, and provide personalized support for families. Jake brought his practical experience, Samantha her resources, and Lily her perspective as a young child with first-hand insight into mobility challenges. The collaboration was seamless, driven by mutual respect and a shared goal to create positive change that was personal, impactful, and heartfelt. Lily's confidence grew with each passing day. The repaired wheelchair and newfound independence allowed her to engage more actively in her daily activities. But it wasn't just about mobility. It was about empowerment. The small gesture of repair had grown into a larger movement, encouraging Lily to speak up, share her experiences, and even suggest ideas for new devices that could help her peers. Samantha watched her daughter blossom, reassured that the world still held people whose intentions were pure and selfless. Jake, despite the sudden recognition and opportunities, remained grounded. He continued to work hands-on with children, often choosing the simplest, most personal interactions over publicity or fame. For him, seeing a child smile, witnessing newfound independence, and knowing that his efforts had real impact were the greatest rewards. His story inspired thousands across social media, motivating people to act selflessly, volunteer, and use their skills to help others, proving that humanity and kindness were far more valuable than wealth or status. By evening, the small neighborhood felt transformed. Conversations about hope, compassion, and integrity echoed as news of Jake's selfless act spread further. Samantha felt a renewed sense of faith in humanity, reassured that even beyond money, genuine kindness existed. Lily felt proud, empowered, and hopeful for the future, and Jake, the humble mechanic, became a beacon of inspiration, a living example of how simple acts of care, performed without expectation, could create profound, life-changing outcomes. That night, the city quietly learned that miracles often begin with the simplest gestures.